Take Lex Luger in the time we want the gold, sucker. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today's topic we're going to be going over a Booker T is great for professional wrestling video, of course. We understand night 2 of WrestleMania is just around the corner, around 4.5 hours by now. I'll be over in the gym. Possibly a late live stream, or I'll just be watching it and probably give my takes around latter under 24 hours after both shows are done. So, depends on how I'm feeling. You can't get a determined look. But right now, let's go over Booker T. Booker T has been over the wrestling business for the past 3 decades and has been an influential part of professional wrestling when it comes to his character depth, when it comes to how he did for majority of black professional wrestlers. He's been a major influence, especially for black characters that has been influenced around wrestling. They have either been the minor card tag team specialist or comedic relief in any inclusive part that's been involved in doing it. At least all three of these things have been majority the New Day. Like it or not, they've been the major key component and a major name in WWE, and possibly going to be like that for the rest of history. No one they have a lot of record. They have 2 world champions over in their resume, and they've been at least one of the bigger widespread margins when it comes to their medium. And most of what we had was Booker, and he's worked in at least 3 of the most major promotions in wrestling. He worked over on TNA for a stint. Been part of one of the more major factions over on TNA in the Main Event Mafia. Grew his character depth then and had a feuds with AJ Styles. And we know his career over in WWE around '01 to to '07. He had an amazing run, especially over his iconic character with King Booker, winning the World Heavyweight title, getting in a lot of major feuds that a lot of us remember with Chris Benoit, Orton, Triple H, without the racism. John Cena, Big Show, anybody could remember most of his storylines. Kurt Angle, Jason Jordan, I'm sorry. And of course, his more memorable stint with the Harlem Heat. That is decades upon decades of an archive over his career that's went over character shifts to being a tag team specialist to upper mid card to a headliner, and even over on WCW where he even got a short reign. He's been a major impact that you grow yourself from the bottom to the top, and how much he worked over to the business to get himself where he is just a massive show of how Booker even developed, especially being part of that locker room and still getting himself over to the top of the pecking order like that when Hogan was there, Bischoff was there, Vince Russo was there, there was a lot of politicking. And how he got himself over to the pecking order the way he is, and getting himself over a state you could barely see any negatives. And knowing that he even have his own promotion, trying to get guys up there that you probably know like Ember Moon or the Usos with Reality of Wrestling, and still getting guys up there with even his own podcast. And most of the time he even speaking facts. Even when he was speaking over New Japan or any other come-up fed, and how difficult it is to get over. How else are you supposed to get that than the guy that's been like that for a majority of his opinion? He's even been a great announcer, developing even his own catchphrases. Even though you can barely come up with Booker T says, "Ain't water, he don't want no bread. All he needs is beef." Literally, shucky ducky quack quack, quotable lines. Even though it was ridiculous, Booker T, whenever he's on camera, makes anything entertaining. Whether you have to take him seriously or not, you cannot take your eyes off Booker T. Even when it comes to the Spin Rooney or his promos, there's always going to be something for Booker T to say to always grab your attention, and most of the time, you need that to get over. And Booker T has literally been like that for a majority of his run. And now he's calling over NXT to try to get some of the younger talent over, either than Mauro Ranallo, that I think more fans would have been accustomed with, knowing how well he did for the Black and Gold era. But Booker T, when he will get his moment, bro, he will get his moments, even when it comes to, saying the N-word live over on on pay-per-view back on WCW, and people still take that over as a fond memory because Vince McMahon said that in front of him, and he got paid for it. And he took that not even with a grain of salt. Booker T manned up over to that occasion and literally took that like a comedic relief. Most guys would have canceled Vince, especially around '05, but Booker actually takes some of that stuff, and he's been, with such thick skin, especially around the locker room and even the era of the type of humor that he's been. I forgot that he was even in that Bad Bunny video where he was literally just singing Booker T while some Spanish I can't understand, but that got a plethora of viewership. Like, I think around 100 million. Like a shitload of viewers. Booker T has been himself in the mainstream, over in the hardcore fan base, and he's been one of the more notable, electrifying, and best workers to get himself involved with. Nobody would mind where you push him over to the card, and especially with his more memorable stints, you can't get him off TV. Sure, I wish he stayed a bit longer over on TNA, developed a more over the top character, or got himself into more interesting feuds. But time will be time, and he already has a long enough resume as it was already over his career that spanned over 2 decades. So we can understand, like, possibly TNA was somewhat beneath him over that stint in his career, and still with such a healthy marriage, knowing like how toxic it can be, like, or convenient it can be to get yourself in certain relationships around the wrestling business, and he's still been with Charmel for all this time. I literally saw him like in a power struggle like feud with Reality of Wrestling in one of the episodes I was watching, and she still looks healthy for her age, man. That's how real Booker actually can get. And this is just a love letter and just an appreciation over for Booker T, knowing that he was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up, and I know a lot of people still recognize him over to this day. Whenever it comes to what he does, what he sounds, how he wrestles, and how he's been such a major influence, especially for a lot of younger wrestlers or black wrestlers or anybody coming over, and anybody seeking over his advice. I recommend you take it. Thanks for watching over the DST show. Thanks for seeing Booker T. It was great for wrestling. That's it for me. Like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.